My goals for building wealth. 1. Measure every decision by the standards of the Holy Scriptures. 2. Study the Scriptures to learn about skillful living and success. 3. Form the habit of praying and seeking God's guidance about everything. 4. Seek employment in the path of prosperity and growth. 5. Render more and better service than my competition. 6. Eliminate my personal debts within the next 24 months. 7. Save a minimum of 1/10 of all that I earn. 8. Give a minimum of 1/10 of all that I earn. 9. Seek wise counsel regarding the best way to invest my savings. 10. Take the right steps to protect my future earnings. 11. Show proper respect for money, so that I may manage it wisely. 12. Follow a detailed budgetary plan all the days of my life. Scroll number 1. Money mentality. The true person's creed. 1. I will be fruitful and earn money, to labor 6 days and rest the 7th, to make money multiply as a grain of corn multiplies when planted in fertile soil, and gain dominion over the power money essence, as that my riches may be used for wealthy purposes. 2. I will refrain from the love of money, for such passion causes every sort of iniquity to manifest from the heart, attracting weighty troubles. 3. I will respect and follow the higher laws of divine order, which bring about the fulfillment of my worthy aspirations by making my efforts fruitful and by giving me increase and dominion regarding momentary matters. 4. I will walk in the counsel of wise men who possess a special gift for managing money and have the experience of many bountiful harvest. 5. I will not pursue ill-gotten momentary gains, for such profits bear an inescapable curse that is 1,000-fold greater than the misery of living in poverty. 6. I will enact every momentary transaction with honesty and integrity, so that my heart may remain pure and sleep in safety. 7. I will refrain from passion for wine, pleasure, and luxury, for they are not conducive to making my purse fat, and my fortune grow. 8. I will always measure the value of my fellowman with far greater importance than the temporal value of my riches. 9. I will respect the authority of the land, under God, regarding the corporal matters of life. 10. I will let a humble spirit be my hallmark, rejecting the temptations to become puffed up with pride and brimming with haughtiness because of my affluence. 11. I will be generous in all ways, choosing not to hoard riches that would be detrimental to me and a grievous evil toward mankind. 12. I will acknowledge that the Almighty owns everything that exists, including all of the wealth of the world, and, therefore, assumes the responsibility that ownership invokes. Consequently, my primary aim is to be God's spiritual possession, for all of the other details of life shall then be orderly and blessed. Scroll number 2, Financial Beginnings. Rule 1. The man who would be rich cannot have both money and material things, as he begins his quest to earn his fortune. Rule 2. The man who would be rich must form the habit of keeping his rightful share of all that he earns. Rule 3. The man who would be rich must seek wise counsel and exercise good judgment that will make his savings beget limitless amounts of its own kind in the future. Scroll number 3. Budget Management. Lesson 1. Make a budgetary plan to govern all of your financial affairs. Keep account of all revenue in relation to all expenditures. Control all your carnal and all temporal desires. You must keep your desires simple and definite, and consistent with the objectives of your budgetary plans. Learn contentment during each station of your life, for this is wisdom. It is the product of the heart to be relished whether your financial fortune flourishes or takes a turn for the worst. Lesson 2. Live within your means. A man that cannot live on 10 gold pieces per month would find it impossible to live on 100 pieces of gold per month. Do not confuse necessary living expenses with compulsive desires for materialistic pleasures. Spending money before you have it is not prudent. A gold piece in your hand has more power than 2 that has not yet come to you. Thoughtfully consider your thoughtful habits regarding how you manage your money, for therein lie the secret to eliminating material excess and seizing control of your financial destiny. Lesson 3. A charitable heart is essential to finding true riches. The wise man uses money as a tool to symbolically cultivate his soil and plant seeds, so that his harvest shall be plentiful. Money is not the end in and of itself, but it represents the means to a worthy end if it is employed wisely. Good fortune seeks out the man who saves a minimum of 1/10 of all that he earns and wisely employs his savings to produce more of its own kind. A man must pay each of his debts in full, while exercising complete punctuality in the process. The responsible man wisely engages one well versed in the laws of the land to write for him a plan that will ensure the proper distribution of his estate upon his death, and in accordance with his wishes. The prudent man respects the worth of money and will not squander it to purchase excessive luxuries that rapidly depreciate in value. A wise man learns to despise debt because it is an evil that has the potential to destroy his life. The man in quest should build a stable sufficient source of income before he invests in the dwelling of his dreams. Both thought and labor are necessary ingredients to ensuring financial success. Slothfulness brings poverty. A wise man positions himself in the pathway of opportunity and in the midst of progress so his fortune shall have the best chance to grow. Lesson 4. 1. Analyze your present financial situation and make a written record of every expenditure. This will reveal to what purposes your hard-earned is applied. 2. Pledge to live and manage your financial affairs supported only by cash you have on hand. 3. Conquer the adversaries of sound money management. First, use the false conception that more is better. Second, the temptation to use credit to delay the unpleasantness of making difficult financial affairs on the proper course. Third, the failure to keep to employ 1/10 of all income to employ and create more of its own kind. And fourth, the mistake of increasing spending when income increases. 4. Make the creation of surplus your supreme goal. There is greater pleasure and fulfillment in the creation of surplus than there is in spending it. 5. Provide for both short-term and long-term goals in your budgetary plan. Short-term goals should be established for each day, week, and month. Long-term goals should be made to put you on a course to achieve your dreams beyond 1 year. 6. Be determined to follow a budgetary plan that allocates payments from all income you can earn in the succeeding order and the ensuing manner. First, give a generous portion of your income to worthy causes and to those less fortunate who are in genuine need, for your good heart's generosity will become the source of your greatest blessings. Second, pay yourself a minimum of 1/10 of all that you earn, and safely employ the payments so that it earns more of its own kind. Third, pay your rightful share of taxes to your government, so that there will be money enough for the governing of the land. Fourth, provide for the necessities of your family, so that you may respect yourself, and have respect of your spouse and children. Fifth, pay regularly to reduce your debt until it remains no more. Sixth, use any money that is left over to satisfy your desire to partake of the pleasure of life for both yourself and your family. The specific amounts that you allocate for payments should be determined as follows. Calculate the amount of spendable income available by deducting any taxes, and 1/10, which you give to help others, then allocate it as follows. Keep 1/10 for your savings, provide 7/10 to care for your household, pay 2/10 to reduce your debt until eliminated. You may not think this cannot be done, but it can if you believe it can. Becoming financially independent sometimes requires sacrifice by doing whatever is expedient in order to accomplish the objective. You can endure adversity for a short time if the reward for your sacrifice is great enough. Once financial freedom is achieved, you should reallocate the amount of your spendable income thusly. Consider increasing the amount that you share for benevolent purposes according to your increasing abundance. Provide 7/10 to care for your household. Employ the remainder to work for you and return more of its own kind. Scroll number 4. Increasing income. Principle 1. You can do nothing about the yields of the past harvests, but you can affect the yields of the future harvests. Every new beginning is difficult because of imperfect financial seeds sowed in the past that shall grow and ripen unto a poor harvest. For they are destined by the law of nature to produce a harvest. In financial matters, if you plant imperfect seeds, then you will bear the consequences, for you cannot change the yield of future harvests from sparsity to abundance. Principle 2. You reap only the same kind of seeds that you sow. By law, things produce their own kind. And remember, thoughts are also things. Ill-conceived thoughts have led to develop poor money management habits that are but seeds of financial failure sown in blindness. If you sow inferior financial seeds, you shall most surely reap an inferior harvest. To the contrary, if you sow quality financial seeds, you shall most definitely reap a quality harvest. When your finances are involved, accept nothing inferior, accept nothing mediocre, accept only what is of proven paramount. Emphasis on quantity should be of secondary consideration when compared to the advantages of quality. Quality brings the best that life can offer. Principle 3. You plant seeds in one season to be harvested in another season. Everything progresses and happens according to its own appointed time and its own appointed season. Understanding and patience are important attributes you must acquire. It is not nature's way for the harvest to spring forth at the instant that seeds are planted, for it takes time for seeds to root, grow, multiply, and mature. Adequate time in between growth and propagation is required in between the time for sowing and the time for reaping. What you do with the time in between affects the yield of the harvest. My counsel is you should not accept miraculous results overnight as you begin your journey toward financial independence. Under the best circumstances, it usually takes from 3 to 5 years to accomplish such a commendable pursuit. Do not let the amount of time required bring you discouragement, for much time is needed to allow you to find your special place in the path of opportunity, learn new precepts, form new habits. Time allocated to the preceding things is time well invested. Time is indeed precious, so use it wisely. Principle 4. You will reap a greater harvest than you sow. The writings of old reveal this secret. If thou sowest the wind, thou shalt reap a whirlwind. This precept applies to sowing success or failure, happiness or unhappiness, and riches or poverty. Nature does not produce the same number of seeds that are 100-fold or 1,000-fold. The inherent dynamics of the fourth financial matters as they are to the crops of the field. Therein lies a truth that can take you to extraordinary heights of success and fortune, or, when improperly applied, can take you into the vast depths of failure and deprivations. Principle 5. The more seeds you sow, the greater the harvest. Nature's law dictates that he must sow abundantly if he is to reap exceedingly abundantly. However, the farmer should wisely exercise caution not to sow more than he can reasonably manage. My counsel is, if you honestly desire to make a big financial harvest, you must first sow many financial seeds. The money you can earn constitutes your seeds. Sow then wisely in many fertile places and they shall return to you much more of their own kind. You must think big and act big if you sincerely want to reap a big reward. Make a consistent effort to increase your income. Use your increase to continually plant more financial seeds in more acres, that you may always reap greater and greater harvests. Principle 6. A poor harvest manifests itself on its own, but an abundant harvest only comes to those who persevere. The young farmer learned through experience that if he was to celebrate at harvest time, he must persevere relentlessly in order to overcome all the obstacles that stand in his way. He also learned the precept that nothing worthwhile in life is easy. He found that there were many dangerous enemies and destructive elements that he must struggle against and overcome. As time passed, he grew older and wiser and successfully produced many abundant harvests. He came to the conclusion that the many rewards he had received for his perseverance were worth the commitment and effort he had expended. The bad in the world is ever present and perpetuates itself, while the good must be cultivated, nurtured and cared for, with undying attention, such as building a fortune, running a business, raising a family, maintaining important relationships, developing spirituality, and keeping well and physically fit. When something is sown, it requires constant attention in order to reap an abundant harvest. You can transform your problems into building blocks of character if you persevere. How you react to your problems shall determine your success or failure. Generally, great character is something that must be chiseled and shaped from the granite quarries of misfortune. Great character is the reward for persevering in time of adversity, and virtue is the offspring of great character. You will never achieve true success unless you first possess character and virtue. for they are the hallmarks of greatness. Your primary objective should be in building your character, for character is the only thing you can take with you into eternity. The miracle of service. I will teach you the secret of secrets, how you can constantly increase your income to grand proportions. You will discover that you were not taught these secrets in your schools of learning, for the world of academe abandoned the profound knowledge long ago. Once the secret is yours, share them with others and you shall be blessed. Here is the key to open doors of unlimited income. For first you must provide service. Then you will become successful and financial rewards will follow. Service is the tool you must use to increase your income throughout your life. You will receive financial rewards in proportion to the quality and quantity of service that you render to others. Therefore let your motto become serve and succeed. The place to begin your life of service is right where you are at this moment. Do not procrastinate. Start serving now. You must free your thoughts of pettiness, prejudice, envy, and selfishness, which are nothing but destructive emotional indulgences that stand in the way of your success. Rendering more and better service sets the principle of the harvest into operation. More and better service plants the seeds of excellent quality across many fields, many of which will take root, grow, multiply, and bring forth an abundant harvest in the proper season. Consistent, good service causes the role of reciprocity to take effect. When you do something of value for another person, that person is then compelled to do something of value in return. If you serve others well, you will eventually rise to a station of prominence because all those you have serviced will one day reciprocate in a positive manner. There are attributes one must develop in order to serve others well. 1. Loyalty and trustworthiness. 2. Strong character tempered by a humble spirit. 3. An insatiable desire to listen and learn. 4. A passion to serve others without promise of reward. 5. The discernment to discover needs and meet them. 6. The vision to imagine needs and meet them. 7. An extraordinary capacity for work on behalf of those who are served. You must understand the paramount importance of service if you are to begin with nothing but desire. Be assured that if you begin providing more and better service, but find that financial rewards from your present vocation do not grow in proportion to the quantity and quality of service you are rendering, you shall then receive financial rewards from unexpected sources that will pay you justly for what you do. Simply demonstrate your faith in the principles of the harvest by giving more and better service, and worrying about nothing. One way or another you will be justly paid what you are worth. Have faith and be diligent. In the proper season your just reward will come to you. Hear me well. Do a good job at what you are doing and the future will take care of itself. Scroll number 5. Protecting wealth. As a man journeys through life, he must face 4 critical financial challenges. 1. Wealth creation. 2. Wealth accumulation. 3. Wealth protection. 4. Wealth conservation. The creation of wealth may be accomplished by rendering to your fellow man more and better service, which will bring you continuously growing income. The accumulation of wealth may be attained by forming the habit of saving a minimum of 1/10 of all your income to employ and bring you more of its own kind. But the challenge of protecting and conserving your wealth will require thought and planning. You may go to the great institutions that have many assets and abundant capital and specialize in helping people protect and conserve their wealth. Quality protection at a reasonable cost may be served to prevent personal financial loss due to sickness, disability, death, or costly litigation. Protection may also be secured against loss of assets, personal and dwelling. My counsel is that you must secure your life, health and possessions, so that if a thief should break in and steal any of these things, you and your loved ones will be adequately protected against economic loss. Seek out experienced counselors who can help you develop a plan that will ensure your financial security and that of your family as well. Your plan should be your guide to accumulate, protect, and conserve your wealth. Such a plan should provide a way to pass your estate to your loved ones without accounting costly probate expense and unnecessary taxes that would place a great financial burden on your heirs. Wise counselors can help you prepare a definitive financial plan that provides for every contingency of life. In order to minimize the adverse consequences of old age, sickness, disability, death, litigation, Probate and taxes. Your financial plan should accomplish the following. 1. Provide a proven method for accumulating wealth and a sound way to employ your money so that it will grow and bring you much more of its own kind. 2. Provide protection against the loss of your future earning power due to sickness, disability or death. 3. Provide protection against the loss of your material possessions due to accidents, disasters, and criminal acts. 4. Provide protection from economic loss due to litigation. 5. Provide relief from paying unnecessary taxes when you die, as well as throughout your life. 6. Provide deliverance from excessive costs of probate when your estate is passed to your heirs. You, the money machine, must be wise, for you only get one chance to live a successful life. Hence, you must take full advantage of every minute, hour, day and year that remains. You must be prepared to grasp opportunities when they come. To do so, you must have a financial plan, for it is by design that a wise man acquires riches. Scroll number 6. Conquering debt. There are several ways that you must prepare yourself in order to conquer debt. 1. Develop a strong aversion to owing money to anyone. Learn to hate debt just as you hate the devil himself. Train your mind's eye to see debt as a formidable adversary that seeks to destroy your life and enslave you indefinitely. 2. Resolve to forego the mistakes of youthful self-indulgences and rely on the time-tested profound knowledge known as wisdom. Never spend money before you have it in your possession. Don't spend more than you earn and thus sow seeds of thoughtless self-indulgences, which grow into a harvest of financial troubles, mortification, and disgrace. You must not yield to such threatening temptations. 3. No individual or nation can survive indefinitely if the sound practice of thriving on borrowed money is the order of things. There shall be a day of reckoning just as sure as the seasons come and go, for the principles of the harvest are unfailing. Seeds that are sown must come to harvest in full measure. Debt can bring down the mighty and meek alike. Therefore, both men and nations would be wise to refrain from depending on its use. Tenet 1. The philosophy of wise men regarding personal indebtedness. The use of credit is neither good or bad, for that determination is made by the borrower. When properly understood, controlled, and managed, credit can serve a salutary economic purpose, but when misused can bring all manner of troubles. Troubles so great they make the nights sleepless and filled with discouragement and despair. If you borrow, employ credit wisely, and never enters into a pledge with a lender if wickedly usurious rates, and therefore avoid excessive rates, for wisdom dictates that wickedly usurious rates grow incessantly without the benefit of rainfall. Wickedly usurious rates are like the bite of a viper who looks small, but whose poison is deadly. Tenet 2. How to permanently escape the bondage of debt. Characteristics of a man that falls victim to the weakness of employing credit unwisely. 1. He may have developed an obsession for self-gratification so strong that when carried to the extreme, it becomes extravagance. 2. He may not have the benefit of an effective and reliable financial plan. 3. He has an insatiable appetite for pleasure, status, and luxury, which he constantly feeds with borrowed money, which ultimately leads to embarrassment, insolvency, and ruin. Tenet 3. The philosophy of wise men regarding borrowing. A wise man refrains from borrowing funds to satisfy his personal indiscretions, but if legitimate circumstances arise that require him to borrow, there are certain guidelines he follows to avoid financial misfortune. If you borrow money, follow them. 1. Control your weakness for making expensive impulsive purchases by writing down the name of the item you desire and then vowing not to purchase it until 30 days have passed. If you still desire to buy the item, you should seriously consider its purchase if you have the money. Under no circumstance borrow a large sum at exceedingly usurious rates, for the purpose of purchasing of such an item should be made with cash, if made at all. 2. Ill fortune will be your lot if you think more of borrowing than that of repaying when debt becomes necessary. It is not prohibited, however. Exercise extreme caution regarding the terms of the pledge to the lender. Under favorable circumstances, the use of debt may be advisable if it is procured wisely for a wise purpose. 3. If debt is necessary, Do not borrow from relatives, friend or employer. The best intention to repay can go amick due to unforeseen difficulties that are beyond your ability to control. Borrowing is simply not worth the risk of important broken relationships. 4. Avoid borrowing from seedy money lenders who employ questionable practices and charge usurious rates. 5. Charge nothing on easy credit that you do not have the money to pay for after the passage of no more than 30 sunrises. There is a proven way to restore financial stability and protect your good name. 1. You must first face the reality of your situation and resolve that the repayment of your debt is both moral and a legal responsibility. 2. You should consider the idea of debt consolidation only as a last resort, because the risk of repeating your folly would simply compound your problems, and your irresponsible spending habits would still remain. 3. You must make an accurate evaluation of your financial affairs in writing, which will serve as your resource for a new plan for the future. 4. You must devise a plan in writing, designed to incrementally retire your debt and set you on a new course to financial solvency. The elements of your plans should include the following. 1. A firm resolution that you will follow your plan and become debt-free, placing strong emphasis on the discontinuance of senseless spending. 2. A calculation of your actual spendable income, which represents the amount of income that remains after an accurate allocation for taxes is made and a gift of 1/10 of your income to charity is deducted. An allocation of your spendable income divided thusly. 1. Keep 1/10 for yourself that you should employ to bring you more of its kind. 2. Provide 7/10 for the care of your family and the maintenance of your household. 3. Pay 2/10 to your creditors regularly, until your debt is eventually eliminated. The preceding guidelines may be adapted to circumstances that warrant different payment allocations. Face each of your creditors privately and explain your financial crisis with complete honesty, as well as your plan for the repayment for the debt. Assure your creditors that you fully intend to meet your obligation. Seek the blessings of the creditors, but do not be disheartened if you fail to gain their full support, for with or without their blessing, you must see your plan to fruition. By accepting responsibilities for the timely payment of debt, you display the essential qualities found in genuinely successful men who procure great wealth, for honesty is a virtue that is blessed by the Lord. The rewards for your commitment are wisdom gained through trial, self-esteem acquired through accomplishment, respect earned through trustworthiness, fulfillment attained through perseverance, happiness fostered through contentment, and freedom from the slavery of debt realized through tenacity. Do not give surety to a money lender under any circumstances, especially when it involves monetary transactions with strangers. Assuming the responsibility for the debt of another is indeed foolish and many times leads to sore troubles. Do not accumulate long-term debt. Plan your financial affairs in such a manner that, in time, you will have no debt for a duration longer than 7 years. The collateral value of such debt should be great enough to repay the money lender if unforeseen misfortune that debt can bring. Before you elect to acquire debt, devise a plan to repay. If you cannot repay, you should forego acquiring debt. You will be wise to follow the teaching of the 6th scroll, for you shall know freedom from debt and avoid misfortune that debt can bring. Scroll number 7, Blessed Giving. That a man can give of his fortune to help other and yet have more is indeed a paradox. This makes no sense to the worldly individual who is ensnared by materialism, for it defies human logic. The perception of the worldly individual is confined to worldly matter and, therefore, cannot relate to higher law of spiritual nature. Giving defines an unwritten law that makes the world a better place in which to live and brings spiritual and material blessings to the one who gives. God dearly loves a cheerful giver who makes giving a habit. In order to achieve financial freedom by following God's financial guidelines, you must make certain destiny-changing commitments. 1. Commit yourself to honor the Lord with your life, which will give your existence profound meaning and purpose. Spiritual enlightenment contributes to good character, which is the cornerstone of true riches. No amount of wealth can set you free to live your fullest and atone for poverty of character. Only through meaningful relationship with your Maker, you can accomplish these things. 2. Commit to honor the Lord with your wealth, for your Creator is the eternal proprietor of everything that exists. property and wealth included. The best way for you to honor the Most High is with your wealth, for your heartstring is attached securely to your purse string. The Almighty will test the sincerity of your heart with the challenge of sharing your finances with others who are in need. Nothing reveals true character as much as the uses to which you put your money. 3. Commit to honor the Lord by discovering why your Maker supplies you with more money than is required to meet your own financial necessities. You have more so that you may give more, and you will receive more, that you may then give again. Joyfully give a generous portion of all you earn and find much favor with the great provider. To become wise regarding financial matters is an immeasurable blessing. Wisdom is essential to the attainment of the abundant life. Therefore, I will share with you the miracle of the faith harvest, a compilation of laws that a man destined to become prosperous must learn. So, hear me well. The first law: you will faithfully look to God as the sole source of supply for daily substance. The treasury of the Almighty is filled with infinite riches that is pleased to share liberally with those who love and honor Him with the first portion of their financial harvests. The omnipotent ruler of heaven and earth is the only unlimited source of supply that exists. All other sources, yourself, relatives, friends, employers, and government, have the perplexing limitations. God's ability to meet your needs by seeking other sources for your livelihood. Do not rely on the promise of this imperfect world for your sustenance. Only the Lord's blessings have genuine significance. The second law: faithfully give from all you earn, so what you give may be perpetually returned to you in an inexhaustible amount. Giving must become a priority of life, as much so as slumber, food and drink. Giving must become a habit. Be quick to give from your means to needy orphans, the poor, the homeless, the hungry, the sick, the handicapped, and those whom disaster falls. The man who has adequate income but refuses to live within his means and yet seeks the support of charity should not be helped. Such a man should be left to endure the consequences of his own folly, so that he may learn his lesson. Help a man such as this with your counsel and love, but do not support him financially, for you will then become a contributor for his delusion. The man who has a sound mind and a strong back and yet refuses to work should not be helped, except for caring for him wise counsel. Such a man should not eat. To feed him regularly from your table is approvingly acknowledging his slothful lifestyle for his benefit. Leave such a man to experience the harsh reality that life will teach him. Avoid pernicious gifts to false religions, people who practice evil, instead of good, causes contrary teachings of God, and foul schemes conceived through greed. Particular about where your charity goes and whom it helps. Choose carefully, relying on the guidance of the sacred writings, and much thought and prayer before committing your gifts to any individual purpose. If a man in genuine need asks for financial assistance and you have no money to give him, then give him love, hope and encouragement. Giving of yourself to him is a profound act of charity, equally as important as sharing your finances. The heart, the gift, makes the true giver. The character of the giver is of most importance. Do not give simply to receive in return, for God will not honor an attitude of greed. Let your giving originate from a pure heart. This concept makes little sense to men of the world whose only goal in life is to heap up riches. You will receive in proportion and in kind what you have planted, for the certainty of your reward is ensured by the principle of the harvest. Giving may likened unto planting seeds in God's garden. God nurtures them. God multiplies them. God makes them fruitful. God brings forth an abundant harvest. God Himself, being the gardener, will see to it that your yield is plentiful. There are certain guidelines you should follow in order to ensure the Lord's blessing over your seed gifts of money. 1. Plant your seed gifts with a joyous attitude, accepting nothing in return. Plant them willingly, not grudgingly. 2. Plant no less than 1/10 of your gross earnings to promote God's work in the world. Observe how your seed gifts multiply and return to you in full measure. 3. Plant more as your prosperity increases. The amount should be determined by the conviction of your heart as it silently listens to the leading of the Lord. The willingness to plant more of your growing surplus is a test of your character, for it demonstrates that you possess a greater love for God than for money. The third law: joyously give, believing with unwavering faith that God will honor your gifts by prospering you proportionately, just as he has promised in sacred writings. Just as the farmer sows grains of wheat with the expectation that they will grow and yield a bountiful harvest, you must accept your seed gifts to grow and yield a bountiful harvest, and grow and bring more into your purse so that you may continue to give more. To accept God to be true to his promise is an act of faith that finds great favor with him. He is pleased to bless those who exhibit their belief in the faith harvest by practicing seed giving, and therefore, returns to them many bumper crops. Accept a bountiful faith harvest, plant abundantly and you will reap exceedingly abundantly. Be faithful and diligent with your seed gifts and watch the hand of the Lord at work in all that you do. Hear me well, give from a pure heart and you one day understand the limitless power of the axiom, it is better to give than to receive. My search of the sacred writings revealed that the body, soul and spirit constitute the essence of man's being, body, soul and spirit being synonymous with the physical, mental and spiritual realms of existence. Each is intertwined with the other making then one, like a triple braided cord. In your quest to build wealth, seek within and find the three dimensions of your being. Nurture each of these dimensions with core, uniting them into a single worthy purpose for acquiring wealth. And it will come to you surely, bringing with it many blessed benefits. The essence of man is a composite of body, soul and spirit. The body instinctively seeks to meet physical needs such as food, water, survival, copulation that support procreation and life. The soul, the mental dimension of man, is occupied with learning, courage, possessions, status, popularity, titles, fame, money, and power. The spirit is the quintessential part of man's three dimensions, hold the potential for a relationship with God, and consists of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Knowing this, you can clearly understand how an imbalance in any of these three dimensions results in abnormal human behavior. Before you seek anything else, seek righteousness and the kingdom of God. All the worthwhile things you yearn for will be within your reach. Herein lies the secret of the abundant life. A wise man soon learns that a spiritual man has the capacity to develop both body and soul, so that the whole being thrives in harmony. Balance is essential to skillful, abundant living. Hear me well. You have as much right to earn your share of that abundance as any other person. Riches are not reserved for an elite class who are luckier or smarter than you. They are reserved exclusively for those individuals who will to have them. Prosperity beckons you to earn your rightful share, because that the outcome does not depend on outside circumstances or anyone other than yourself. Thought is the invisible energy that makes and molds the material environment in which you live. You are where you are because of the pattern of your present thoughts. Unquestionably, thoughts become things, and the man who is intelligent enough to integrate godliness with wealth demonstrates human nature in its fine hour. Thoughts are seeds of actions, and actions create circumstances. If you truly desire to change your circumstances, you must first alter your thoughts. Consequently, if you want to be rich, your thoughts must focus on the means to your ends. In essence, you must temporarily exist under the circumstances of your condition. But you must think in terms of acquiring wealth, and little by little you will exchange lack for plenty until your thoughts of riches materialize. A man is tossed and buffeted by circumstances as long as he thinks himself to be a creature whose life is shaped and molded by outside conditions. When he comes into realization that he is a creative power that can command and control the hidden resources within, out of which circumstances grow, he will become the master of his destiny. Yes, you may change the circumstances of your life at your command. In fact, you may do so several times during your sojourn on earth, as many do, but you can never change your circumstances even one iota unless you first will it so through the mastery of your thoughts. Welfare robs recipients of their independence, dignity and self-worth, and permanently enslaves them to a life of dependence, limitation, and want. Welfare is the worst possible bondage. A government that enslaves people in welfare seeks to further the interests of those who rule and possesses no real concern for the genuine well-being of the populace. Flee from any entanglement that promises something for nothing, for such practices violate the universal law of effort and reward, and this will eventually become a giant millstone tied about the neck. The difference in the economic status of men is due solely to the difference in the substance of their thoughts. Intelligence and academic excellence are worthy attributes, but they are not essential to financial success. Principled thoughts, aptly directed, lift men up to attain true riches. Begin your ascent to riches by first looking within to discover the way, and then transform your vision into a mentality that cultivates wealth. This inner transformation gives rise to ideas, goals, plans, courage, desire and unrelenting persistence. When you initiate bona fide charge from within, your material world responds compliantly and changes from without. Thus you find riches because you become a new person, transformed in both thoughts and actions. The cause that originates in your thoughts result in an effect that manifests itself in your material world. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be rich. However, there is something wrong if riches are pursued for the wrong reasons and in the wrong manner. After all, what real profit is there for a man who gains the whole world if, in the process, he loses his soul? The ultimate reward for lust, greed and envy is destruction. There is but one way to acquire true riches, and that way requires the development of body, soul and spirit, the whole man. Here is the final piece of advice to you from a man who has lived as a king and done everything that his soul desired. Love God and follow his teachings, be happy, work hard, give service, exercise prudence, show generosity, enjoy living, flee iniquity, embrace virtue, love others just as you love yourself, and you will delight in the abundant life all your days. Remember, it is far better to live rich than to be rich. Enduring wealth comes to no man until he prepares himself to receive it. What genuine value is a golden vase if it is brimming with tears? To be truly rich, a person must acknowledge that money is a sacred trust from God to be employed wisely and not wasted. A man without a budgetary plan becomes fair game for every predator in the financial jungle. Gold finds its way into the purse of a man who gives more and better service. As surely as the sun rises in the east, the man destined to be rich must protect the potential value of his future earning power. The man who practices pledging his earthly possessions and future earning power to heartless moneylender is indeed unwise, and will live to regret his foolish ways. Self is an impossible god to serve. Every man is a miracle. Hidden deep within his bosom is something special waiting to surface and grow into a great work. On and on for what is hidden within, for once discovered, that he will become an oracle to remember. The wise respect the value of money and keep watch as their purses fatten, but fools who become affluent squander their money, and know not the value of wisdom. You must save a meaningful portion of all that you earn and employ it to work for you and to provide a never-ending stream of income. Financial success requires a man to have a plan for spending, as well as for saving, enabling him to create a surplus that he must wisely employ to bring financial freedom for the future. The mission of a man who desires to perpetually increase his income must center on providing more and better service to his fellowmen, which will ultimately reward him with many abundant financial harvests. It takes a lifetime to build a great fortune that can be lost in the wink of an eye, unless proper planning and adequate protection are provided for the eventualities of life that can cause financial disaster. Learn to live life free from the ill effects of enslaving debt. For financial liability and financial independence are not compatible bedfellows. If you give joyfully and liberally from your purse, so that all men everywhere may have their needs met, you will never suffer from lack and your purse will be continuously refilled to overflowing. Enduring wealth comes to no man until he prepares himself to receive it. What genuine value is a golden vase if it is brimming with tears? To be truly rich, a person must acknowledge that money is a sacred trust from God to be employed wisely and not wasted. A man without a budgetary plan becomes fair game for every predator in the financial jungle. Gold finds its way into a man who gives more and better service. As surely as the sun rises in the east, The man destined to be rich must protect the potential value of his future earning power. The man who practices pledging his earthly possessions and future earning power to heartless money lenders is indeed unwise, and soon will live to regret his foolish ways. Self is an impossible god to serve. Every man is a miracle. Hidden deep within his bosom is something special waiting to surface and grow into a great work. Honor a man for what is hidden within, for once discovered, that he will become. Opportunities many times disguise themselves as adversities.